I think in my last console wars video, I exclusively focused on Nintendo Switch versus Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. And of course, out of those three, Nintendo Switch is stomping all of them. Like, complete blowout. Those consoles simply cannot compete. And it kind of slipped my mind. It kind of slipped my mind throughout all of 2020 that there is another gaming platform out there, one that a certain demographic of people are religiously clinging onto, a gaming platform that I've mocked and derided so often that it's honestly not even worth bringing up anymore. It's not even really a passing thought in my mind. This brand, this platform is so irrelevant, so dead, so broken that their biggest game of this year was Cyberpunk 2077. I am, of course, talking about the PC Master Race, the group of people who naively believe that PC gaming has ever been a dominant force in gaming. The people who legitimately think that games like Deus Ex, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and Overwatch could ever compete with what Nintendo has been producing over the past 20 years, right? Like, I remember these people damage controlling shit like Diablo 3 and the always online requirements while I was sitting at home playing my Wii. When was this? When did that game come out? Damn, that's been a long time ago. 2012, 2013, something like that. I don't remember. I don't like Diablo. It's on Nintendo Switch. I have played it, and it is still pure shit. I remember people saying that like that game looked good. Like, oh man, I can't believe these graphics on this isometric overhead game. It's unbelievable on my high end gaming rig. How could Nintendo possibly compete with this? Sure, they may be putting out games like The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Metroid Other M, but nothing can compete with Blizzard and Diablo 3. I'm sure any day now. I'm sure any day now, any BlizzCon, we're going to get new information of the upcoming Diablo 4. We are going to get more Diablo. We are going to get a StarCraft 3. We're going to get amazing new IPs from Blizzard, and Nintendo is never going to be able to compete. Like, Nintendo was BTFO by PC gaming. No, of course not. Like, we live in the real world. We live in a world where PC gaming is so behind that their big major game of this year, right? Cyberpunk 2077, the game that people were saying they were upgrading their PCs for back in like 2015. That game is readily available on PS4 and Xbox One. Now, the argument the PC gamers are coming up with right now is that, like, well, the game runs best on PC. It's not quite as glitchy. And my answer to that is prove it. Prove that the PC version of Cyberpunk 2077 is significantly better than the base console versions, the original PS4 and Xbox One versions. The answer is you can't, right? You can't explain it because, simply put, Cyberpunk 2077 is fundamentally a broken game. It does not work. It's not all that interesting. The story isn't good. The gameplay is non-existent. Completely fundamentally glitchy, ridiculous. It's so bad, even Angry Joe didn't chill for it. Like, that's how bad it was. The same guy who gave Witcher 3 and Skyrim a 10 out of 10 couldn't defend Cyberpunk 2077. Like, that's the industry, that's the way the industry is heading right now. Like, that's the direction we're going in. Like, we legit cannot keep pretending that these games are really any good. Like, how much more are you people gonna say that like the new Assassin's Creed game looks new and innovative? Like, what, Assassin's Creed 3 came out like what, like almost a decade ago now, and it was stale and boring then. Like, I remember you people saying that game looked good, and spoiler alert, it doesn't. Like, that game looks like shit. The facade that PC gamers have constructed for themselves, like they have this idea that they're somehow elite. They somehow think they're playing on a better platform because they steal all of their shit, like because they have like a functional e-store. Like, oh man, Steam, it's so good. Like Steam, like you're not gonna find Zelda on Steam. Okay, you're not gonna find Mario, you're not gonna find Metroid, you're not gonna find F-Zero, Fire Emblems, Splatoon, Pikmin, Animal Crossing, the games that people are actually playing. You know what I mean? Like, Steam is the very definition of quantity over quality. Oh, but we have a bunch of HD re-releases. So does every other console. Like, oh, but we have a bunch of old shit. So does every other console. Like, oh, we have new games. Like, no, you. So does every other console. Like, literally everything on PC is readily available on Nintendo Switch with more functionality and more accessible multiplayer. That's it. Like, the gaming PC is basically a dying platform. Like, basically propped up by Microsoft including Solitaire into their software. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, the PC gaming industry has become a shell of its former self, right? I do think, like, once Gabe retires, once Valve steps off and they start declining even further, keep in mind, 2020 was a Half-Life year, right? How is it that we could release a new Half-Life game in 2020 with like supposedly new, relevant, exciting technology and not have it be a big deal, right? Like, the answer is, well, not only is the Half-Life brand in decline, whereas stuff like Metroid Prime is bigger than ever, PC gaming itself is becoming increasingly irrelevant and obsolete, especially in this era where PlayStation and Xbox have normalized this concept of upgrading a console. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a launch 2DS, okay? This is an upgraded revision, a new 2DS, right? With, I believe, upgraded memory, more features, improved technology, minor adjustments, right? It is technically an improvement over the original model that does more than what a mere gaming PC could have managed. We're going to see a lot more of that going forward, I think. People have been talking about the Switch Pro for a while. The Switch Pro is fake news, but like the concept, right, of buying new hardware at a more affordable price, right, with minor adjustments, improvements, it's more... it's so much more appealing than the PC gaming mindset where, like, okay, we're just going to spend like all this money upgrading our PCs to be like the highest end possible, and then we're going to pirate everything and then tell everybody that we're the best, that we can play anything we want, even when pirated games don't work, like they constantly do with Nintendo games all the fucking time. Like, I am always having people telling me that they're playing Nintendo games on a PC, and it's never actually true. It's always a hoax, man. But the current state of PC gaming, it's in constant decline. Like, every year, like less and less. Well, it's not just PC gaming. Let's be fair. Like, everything that isn't Nintendo is in a constant downward spiral. Like, PS5 isn't selling as much. Xbox Series X isn't selling as much. Third parties aren't releasing as many games as they used to. People aren't paying for microtransactions or DLC. And as a result of that, right, the PC market is being impacted too. when people buy video games, they want something that they're going to stick with for a very long time. Like, nobody wants Uncharted, where they go through a couple of linear shooter sections for like 10 hours, watch a couple of poorly acted cutscenes, and then like just declare it done, right? Like, never touch it again, right? Uncharted is pure shit. People would rather spend 300 hours playing Animal Crossing and adjusting their adjusting their islands. I would not be surprised if Animal Crossing players, on average, have accumulated more hours than basically any other game on PlayStation 4. Like, it's unbelievable how much time some people have put into Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I think that's fundamentally why Nintendo can be considered superior. People will spend more time playing their games. Like, it's remarkable to me just how much time I've been spending playing a lot of old stuff, like stuff I haven't touched in years. Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, Yoshi's Story. I'm just looking in front of me right now. Mario Party 2 I played recently. Conquer, Kirby, Spider-Man, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. These are games that just have endured to a certain extent. Like, these are games that are still very much relevant, even if they aren't the brand spanking new thing or even the best selling thing at the time, right? Like, the N64 as a console has aged way better than the PS1, and I think has gone on to be way more popular and beloved due to having significantly better games, objectively speaking. Nintendo has always won, and it's very, very exciting to see that continue well into the next generation.